hear, you might be a little bit of a fan of Bob Dylan.
That is true.
How excited were you when this project came across your desk?
I was excited when I saw the press release that Timothée was going to play Bob Dylan and that James Mangold was going to direct a film about Bob Dylan. As a fan growing up, I was like, I want to see this movie. I'll be the first person to buy a ticket. But then I got another amazing surprise when Jim called me and said that there might be a part for me in the movie, which was, I don't know, in so many ways I feel like I've been manifesting getting this part like one day, because I have been a really big fan of him since 13. So, I'm not the biggest Dylanologist in the world. I don't know every date or tour, but I just love the music. So,
were you aware at all of Sue's before this part came out?
Now, no, I was not. I knew the woman on the Freewheelin' album cover, and I think I knew that was his girlfriend, and I had heard the name Suze Rotolo, but I did not know really anything else about her. So to get to read her memoir was a freewheeling time. There's so much in there about their relationship, and especially about, growing up in the Village in the 60s and just the youth culture of the time. She really captures it so beautifully in that book. So I got to learn a lot. Yeah.
And what did you make of her relationship with Bob? I mean, her character's been renamed in the film.
Yes. Well, I think that was the challenge of the part, was that I am playing the one person that isn't well known, and she's the one, she's not musical. She doesn't sing or play instruments with him. So it was making sure that I was able to kind of overcome just being the girlfriend part, because obviously, there's so much more to her and so much more to what she did and how she inspired Bob in that time. She was very politically involved. She was an activist in the 60s, and Bob wasn't so much into politics until he met her and she introduced him to that world. She was an artist in her own right. She was a painter. And you can Google, there's so many songs that he has written about Suze and that relationship. Boots of Spanish Leather, and the list is very long. And she also inspired him to sing his own music and his own songs. So I wanted to capture all of that, but also show her strength and autonomy and who she was. And because there is such a beautiful kind of vulnerability to her and a longing for something. I think she was there out of such a pureness of heart and love for him. And she didn't want to gain anything. She wasn't looking for fame. So it's just beautiful how pure it was. But there is a longing, because she wants him to not be a mystery, but he's always going to pick his art over any woman, as you see in the film.
Well, and there's such beautiful complexity between the relationship with the two of them. Can I ask just about the experience? You worked with Timmy before.
Yes.
The experience of bringing that to life with him.
Well, I'd worked with him when I was 19. And actually, Call Me By Your Name hadn't even come out yet when I worked with him. So not that I would say he's completely like Bob, but the trajectory of the career is kind of similar. And our relationship in the film and life, meaning I knew him before he became, Timothée Chalamet in a lot of ways, and how, Sylvie is the really only person that knew Bob before he became so famous. So it was nice that we knew each other before, and there's always a safety there, and you feel more comfortable with them because you've worked with them before. And we're quite silly together, and there's a warmth. So I think we could bring that, especially to the earlier years of Sylvie and Bob's relationship. It was nice to kind of bring a little bit of that into them. But it was, also just from a standpoint of getting to act with him as Bob, he's so brilliant. Like, I knew how great of an actor he was, and I always knew that he would rise the challenge and do it, but I think how much so he did, it really blew me away and exceeded any of my expectations. He's so incredible in this.
Well, and this movie captures such a specific period of time in that early 60s, this sort of hive of creativity in Greenwich Village.
Yeah.
can I ask what you made of the way that this world had sort of been recreated, like, brought back to life?
Man, we filmed, a lot in New York, but also a lot in New Jersey, because obviously the New York streets, a little bit too modern now. They don't look like they did in the 60s. So we created, the amazing production design team created the 60s village and Cafe Wa and Minetta on these New Jersey streets. And it was, of course, it helps you kind of walking into that world and being in those costumes. Ariane Phillips was our costume designer, who her work is so authentic and incredible in this movie. She had, I think also Timmy had like 75 costume changes, but also such an evolution of growth of a character, watching him, from the little cap and scarf to going to the full leather, Ray-Bans Dylan that we know. So to be in that time, it is like a little time capsule, and I liked being there. There's something more romantic to it, no cell phones. And I also particularly love that I find this sweet that we're watching an old movie in a film that's in the 60s. I don't know, going to see that Now Voyager Betty Davis film on the date. I also think that the Sylvie and Bob relationship, there's a kind of old Hollywood romantic film. There's something there between them. The way that Jim shot their relationship feels like an old Hollywood on-screen couple, how it ends and the romance of it all.
And I have to ask about, you got to watch some of the Newport stuff. Yes. Like, it feels to me like an entire festival was basically put on.
It is so true. The Newport, the festival scenes, Jim put on a full festival for us all. And I, for those scenes, I was an audience member. I wasn't performing, but it would be, Boyd would come out as Johnny Cash and he would do his thing. And then, Monica would come out as Joan and sing her, like, in sets. So these takes would be, 30 minutes long of just full on concert. So to get to witness that was incredible. And it's also, it's really James, for him to be able to shoot that, so much coverage, you're always up against the clock, but just the geometry of the cameras and getting everyone's reaction, but also making sure that everyone has the time to really feel. Because when I would do my close-ups, it's not like they would just not perform for me. They did the whole take for me to feel, you have to, but that's a real credit to Jim for orchestrating this entire production and putting a festival on, real crowds.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I want to ask as well, just about, you've sung on film before.
Mm-hmm.
The complication of it, the vulnerability of it.
Yes.
What did you make? Sadly, Sylvie doesn't get to croon.
I know. I know.
But what did you make of the work that everybody had put into that?
Gosh, I was blown away by everyone singing and the work that they put into it. I know that Timothy had, he had 5 years to train and learn all the songs. I think he said he's learned like 50 Dylan songs that he can play and sing, and some of them, aren't even in the movie. He just learned them. And Monica, she never even sang before or played any instruments and learned for this, which that is just astounding. I'm like, you need to put an album out. Your voice is so beautiful. And Boyd as Johnny Cash. That's big shoes to fill, especially working with James, who did the Walk the Line, incredible film. So a movie about Johnny Cash already. So they really just blew me away. And I know, I have sung on film before, and it's it's a vulnerable place to be in, because we're not singers, and there is something to have to perform in front of a crowd, and it was really incredible to see. They blew me away. Everyone blew me away.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Awesome.